everybody, to Blissfully Aware, the show in which three opinionated people discuss what's going on in fandom and nerd news in general. I'm Bliss, and as always, I'm joined by my two lovely co-hosts, Kelty and Kendra.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
So today, y'all, I want to give a content warning right at the start. We will be discussing suicide and cyberbullying. So let's get into it. I'm going to talk about a tale as old as time, and I'm going to take y'all on a journey.
Okie dokie.
Do you guys know of the RWBY fandom?
No, not really.
No idea. I see it around a lot, but I have no clue what it is. I assume it's some kind of anime.
It's an anime produced by Rooster Teeth.
Oh.
Weird.
It's a YouTube gaming channel that has now branched out into a production company.
Yes, I do know what they are. They're responsible for, like, Red vs. Blue and stuff.
Yeah.
RWBY is an anime they produce with a sort of CG art style.
Nah.
It's not my jam, personally, but people like it. It's gone on forever.
Let's take a look. Oh, yeah, just...
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm, like, silently looking at the photos, and that's not very good for a podcast, but yeah.
It doesn't look like it. It's fine.
It's just very, like, standard action fighting anime get-up kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's fine. I never super got into it because I couldn't get past not enjoying the art style. And that's not to say that the story isn't good. I wouldn't know.
Oh yeah, that happens to me all the time.
But people like it, and it has a very big, very loud fandom. So, let me set up a couple characters for this story.
Some good old anime fandom drama.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we have our first character, Blair, who is an adult. They're an auntie.
Oh god, adult aunties creep me out.
They have been described as being against everything. But they self-describe as the safe adult in the fandom.
That's so creepy.
Wee-woo.
Never trust an adult who just says they're safe like
the
that.
safe
That's not
adult,
okay.
baby.
Yep.
So yeah, just looking at this screen cap of their Twitter profile, they call themselves a demisexual lesbian girl flux cat gender
Okay.
who is white, has ADHD, and is autistic.
Oh, that's all you need to know about
And they're
our personalities.
21 from Australia. Yeah, personality is just a group of mental disorders and gender descriptors, I guess. Nowadays on social media. This is all information I would never just give, like, this is not first impression information for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is trusted information that I share with people.
Like, don't get me wrong, I overshare that I'm autistic all the time, but, like, that's not something that I like to share. It just kind of comes out of my mouth.
So, just in case y'all need some backup, let me just read this tweet for you. So Blair says,
Oh boy.
being an adult in this fandom, when 90% of all the other adults are gross freaks or treat minors like shit or are in the hatedom, which is usually both of the first two combined, is so goddamn tiring.
Stop doing it, then.
And they go on. They have a lot of tweets that, like, specifically talk about them having some sort of personal responsibility for all these youngins.
Ugh,
Like,
creepy.
can I just say, before we get into the specifics of this, I don't get why adult people on the internet, and particularly in fandom spaces, want to impress children so much.
Yeah.
Can someone
Right?
explain it to me? I don't get why they are so preoccupied with the opinions, takes, and thoughts of teenagers, and sometimes younger. Like, like the fucking 14-year-old threatening to murder people the other day who got suspended.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care, man! Even if a teenager's like, you're gross and you're an old pedophile, like, I don't give a fuck what they think! I'm not after their approval? That's so sad! Anyway.
I'll be 100% honest. I'm not really all that interested in people my age thinking that I'm cool. I could not care less.
In general, I'm not after anyone's approval or, like, for them to, like, stamp the cool stamp on me, but especially from teenagers, the most terminally uncool people ever.
Yeah. I have no interest in anybody finding me cool.
So anyway, when people, and like all of social media is somewhat performative, I understand that, but when people make really performative statements like that, talking about, you know, the struggle of being in fandom with adults, that, I don't get it, baby. Anyway, so go on and tell us what's bad about this particular, like, thirsty clout chaser. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
So, Blair is an auntie. One good example is they say, they can't believe that Disney created Tangled because it's a romance between a 24-year-old and an 18-year-old.
They've
who
done
fall
that
in love days after meeting, as if that's not something Disney does regularly.
They've been doing that since the beginning of time.
So have human beings.
Yes, but how dare they? So Blair had, and I don't love this, but somebody made a big ol' call-out doc and started spreading it around.
That was weird.
Against Blair for their harassment.
Okay.
Which, yeah, I get is probably well-intentioned, but it's a form of harassment, too.
I mean, yeah, it's just kind of using anti-techniques back at antis, which I don't think makes it, like, non-abuse.
Yeah.
One side is, like, slandering people by saying they're all pedophiles, and another side is, like, here are all these people slanderously claiming that others are pedophiles, and those aren't equal amounts of harm.
No.
But it is anti-tactic and doxing tactic that I guess people are now using against antis. I was thinking about this last night, how it's weird now that, like, because no social interaction ever ends anymore, because there's always, like, a record of it, any digital social interaction never ends anymore. Like, you are responsible for stuff you, like, said and thought potentially years ago, or stuff that people you interacted with years ago said and thought. Your talking to them or your interacting with them is somehow an endorsement of maybe their worst views.
Yeah.
And that can't ever just be in the past anymore. It's always archived and remembered. I don't know what this is doing to us, like, as a people, like, not even just in fandom space, but where, you know, your dumbass tweets from when you were, you know, 18 and edgy are now just inescapable to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Or even just if you, like, had a civil conversation with someone who turned out to be, like, a total jackass, you're expected to disavow them, like, for the sake of your reputation.
No, I feel like an asshole because there's a couple conversations that I've had, like, on Twitter, where I just completely misunderstand where the person's coming from, and so we were arguing about, like, the same thing, but, like, mad at each other about it, and then we're like, oh, oops, and then, like, that's just there, us being stupid, like, and I have to just be aware of the fact that it's just there forever.
There forever. Just any mistake, any, like, bad take, any, like, dumb social interaction.
Yeah, it's happened, like, 3 times, and every time I'm like, God damn it. Fuck.
Anyway, please. So there was a big old doc compiled on why Blair is maybe not the greatest of human beings.
Yeah, and it spread like wildfire. People even sent it to some of the VAs from Ruby.
Ooh.
Which, yeah, and 2 of them made comments about
That's
it, which
messy.
is not what we're getting into, but...
Good.
No.
So this is where character 2 comes in. Restaurant Ruby.
Okay.
And Restaurant Ruby apparently was a fan of Blair's, that upon reading this doc realized, big air quotes, that they done fucked up and was disavowing themselves from this person.
There we go, yes, gotta do the damage control for your reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they tweet out, I spent the last 3 weeks defending someone who now I have just learned actually did very horrible things. I'm going private for a while. This absolutely tears me apart. And they received some, support, people saying, oh, you had no idea, blah, blah, blah. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And if only that's where the story ended.
Okay.
So Blair gets on Twitter And seemingly at random, because this one person is openly talking about, Restaurant Ruby is openly talking about disavowing themselves from Blair. Blair and another of their little sycophants decide to target Ruby Restaurant.
Okay, in retaliation.
Oof.
Yes. The crime was essentially believing this Google Doc.
Got it.
Yeah. What happens is Ruby Restaurant gets an influx of these Blair fans, who I must remind you is just a normal-ass person.
I was gonna say, why does she have fans? Like, what does she do?
She's just, I guess, a BNF. Big name fan.
Okay.
This whole squad shows up at Ruby Restaurant's Twitter, right? Mm-hmm. And Ruby starts complaining, guys, the Blair Defense Squad has arrived to take me down. I'm gonna get so canceled. Which is sad.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
That's really sad and pathetic. So this Ruby Restaurant or Restaurant Ruby person, are they an adult?
They are a minor.
Oh!
According to their Twitter.
Okay.
Dear.
Oh,
dear.
This just took on another sinister undertone. Oh dear.
Oh, I'm uncomfortable.
Yep. So go against the safe adult and you get the shit beat out of you.
You get fucking canceled, baby.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So I'm also going to introduce this third character who I'm going to call Blondie. Because he's a big ol' player that most of my screenshots are from. But he is just sort of the fans. So Blondie is posting how they're laughing their ass off about Restaurant Ruby's being upset at being harassed, right? Which is cool and mature. And
Real normal behavior, man.
it's interesting to see how technology can change the teenage experience, because I learned in researching this what a suicide poll is.
Yeah!
And maybe I was just an old who didn't know.
You brought him
but
up.
Found out what that was.
Yeah. Yikes.
Suicide poll, for anybody who doesn't know, is when you tweet a,
Make a Twitter poll.
yeah, thank you. You make a Twitter poll, and both answers are blank. And you ask people to just vote. And what happens is the person who's made the poll has assigned some sort of outcome to each blank response. And it's typically, I am going to self-harm or attempt suicide, or I'm not going to, right?
Yeah, it's just the Twitter version of rolling a dice or flipping a coin. It's just
Basically.
random input from strangers that only you can divine meaning from, in order, I guess, to, air quotes, justify your actions thereafter? I don't know. It seems
Yeah.
a little dicey, because in some way it seems like the pollster, let's call them, is sourcing input for their suicidality, which is not great. But, you know, social media, I guess, gotta publicize everything.
Yeah, but whatever. Restaurant Ruby posted a suicide poll saying, life really said, can't trust anyone. Upside down smiley face.
But then you're gonna trust
And-
the input of Twitter strangers.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. They're a child and they're being harassed. I shouldn't judge them so hard.
So there were about 35 votes on the poll before the account was deactivated.
Okay.
The consensus was this person is going to attempt to commit suicide.
Yes.
Nobody knows this person, so they don't know whether or not it had happened, but that was everybody, oh shit moment.
Yes. A reasonable assumption to make, it sounds like.
So,
Oh boy.
this is where
This is
I
where
get-
things go from crazy to embarrassing.
Yeah! So all of these Blair fans show up, post this Ruby Restaurant's potential suicide, with tweets like, from our friend Blondie, saying, if you actually paid attention, I wished she was alright. I don't think she deserves to die or anything. I was defending my friend, and they started talking shit, so I talked back.
Like a teenager would think is reasonable. Yeah.
Another one was, I wasn't aware of the poll. now that I'm aware, I'll take the tweet down, the tweet mocking them. This is the first I'm hearing of this. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their life over this.
Well, see, that's so interesting to me, because does that not just then reinforce this sort of behavior, that the only way to avoid this sort of sustained harassment is to threaten suicide?
Yeah.
Everyone was like, you deserve it, LOL, like, coming after our fave. And in order to escape this harassment, someone had to threaten suicide, and then everyone backed off immediately, because they were like, oh my god, like, now it's too far, now I'll take the tweets down and stuff. And, like, you know, that's not a great precedent to set.
Especially not with teenagers.
Especially when we're all here to talk about the dumb Rooster Teeth anime.
Right?
This is not important shit.
No.
No, I have just personally noticed that more, that in order to get any sort of harassment campaign to stop, someone has to threaten suicide, because it's basically the only, like, legal ramification there is. Like, if someone hurts themselves, and there is evidence that they were harassed online about it, then there is actionable behavior. But before that, basically, there's nothing.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I've just noticed that this reaction is a little strange, that it was okay to do until they threatened suicide.
Yeah.
And then it became no longer okay.
So you're gonna love this thread I'm about to read to you, Kendra.
Will I? Do you promise?
I swear, Z's.
Okay.
I feel like you're being sarcastic.
Hit me with it, baby.
This fan of Blair's tweets. I think yesterday, with the restaurant thing, a lot of us went way overboard. And the thing I've noticed happens fairly often in Ruby Twitter. Apparently, a blank poll was posted with them before deactivating, and now Blondie is also getting harassed. So this harasser is getting harassed.
Okay.
I started the whole thing again and didn't help the situation, but I don't think any of us really think about what could happen if we do shit like this, and at some point it's gonna cost us greatly. It's possible it already has. I highly doubt a small thread about this will change anything, but it's worth saying. We need to change how we handle, big air quotes, discourse, or just learn to ignore it completely, which I know is difficult. We're kids. We're idiots. None of us ever think about how our actions could absolutely destroy something. We always sit in the moment until it blows up, and we need to stop doing that.
Okay. Loving
So
it
basically,
so far.
this person just says, how are we to know that our actions had consequences?
How are we to know that bullying was bad?
Well,
Yeah.
well.
What are we? Teenagers? With the ability to, like, drive?
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Being tried as adults?
So Blair never really shows up to make a statement on any of this. Somebody asks them how they're doing, and they're like, oh, I'm fine.
Same.
Good, why? What happened?
Whoa, yeah, me, what?
The whole fandom is now really upset that they harassed somebody into suicide, whether it was
Good.
people who were on Blair's side or people who weren't.
Good. Be upset.
Yeah, that's a
You
thing to
did
be
something
upset about.
bad.
Right, and that was sad. This person, as far as we know, committed suicide.
Or hurt themselves. Yeah.
Or did they?
Or did they?
Well, because here's the thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does the plot twist once more?
It keeps twisting. Just that dagger.
Yeah.
So someone shows up the next day with a screenshot of their DMs, and a different Twitter user by the name of Dredgen Blake, I believe,
Okay.
was sent a message asking if it was okay for them to assume the Twitter handle Restaurant Ruby, because they wanted to use it as an RP account or just the dedicated Ruby fandom account.
Okay.
This was from before any of this happened, to be clear. This is
Wait,
a
what?
screenshot from like months before any of this Blair drama had gone down.
Okay, so wait, somebody created this account and then gave it to someone else?
So this person created an account months ago, Restaurant Ruby, right? With the permission of this random Twitter user. And then proceeds to then, this Blair thing happening, go dark and everybody assumes it's suicide, right? Mm-hmm. So, Dredge and Blake, who we know is the person who ran the Restaurant Ruby Twitter, has on different occasions said they were an adult or said they're a minor. So there's never been any clear age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there are some people who feel like they have credible evidence that it was an adult, but again, there's nothing I've found compelling. So it's calmed down a little bit. Everyone's like, oh, so Restaurant Ruby was a completely different person. Well, Dredge and Blake was still an account that was active, though. So Restaurant Ruby, quote-unquote, committed suicide, but Dredge and Blake, who was the owner of Restaurant Ruby, is still active. And they go dark as soon as this comes to light. Not because I think they committed suicide, they just got caught out for being a liar.
Yeah. An impostor!
Yeah, they had this account.
Sock puppet account, yeah.
They just fucking murked it and made everybody feel bad. And so now, the people who did feel bad, like Blondie, are coming back vindicated for harassing somebody to a quote-unquote suicide attempt.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Blondie's tweet in which they feel vindicated is, LMAO, so I was called a murderer for nothing, you sickos.
That's terrible, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So that's essentially the story. Now, this isn't obviously the only time this has ever happened in fandom. Fake suicide attempts, people have been doing them for ages.
Especially on the internet where you cannot verify anything, usually.
Exactly. The fact that you do have a level of anonymity behind a screen sort of lends to making that way easier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you want some attention and sympathy real quick, for no trouble, it's the way to go about it.
I guess what I find really interesting about this particular drama was how quick the fandom was to yo-yo between whether or not they felt bad. Because the second it seemed like they'd driven somebody to kill themselves, everybody was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. How could I have known that my harassing would do this? To, oh, they lied, so I was in the right to harass them. Everybody call me a hero.
Okay. Cool.
I don't know. I struggle with the fact that aunties never have one straight thing they actually want.
No, they just want vindication.
Man, fuck that shit. That's wild.
Yeah, they just want vindication for their behavior, no matter how shitty or awful, because, again, it's performative. They don't actually care if they bullied someone to suicide. They just want to be seen as caring, because that's what matters, is one's reputation in these spaces, not one's actual material behavior.
I suppose it really is just part of the teenage experience, but the moral superiority complex that takes over in these situations drives me to drink. Just the idea that you think you can be right. And I know, again, I keep saying this, it's a tale as old as time. This is not the first time or the last time this is ever going to happen.
It's not even the first time it's happened in the Ruby fandom.
Oh, no.
No.
About a year ago. And that also happened to be a big ol' fakesies. Big ol' fakeroo.
Yeah, it was, I'm looking at an article for it right now, and yes, because someone shipped the wrong thing, they were bullied into attempting suicide, and they didn't actually attempt suicide. But again, it seems to be the only consistent way to escape this form of harassment, is to threaten suicide or fake suicide, because that's how ruthless these behavior policers are. Like, everything is justified about what they do, because they demonize people who disagree with them. They, like, dehumanize them and call them, you know, abusers and pedophiles and all these ridiculous, outlandish things, and they then feel vindicated about torturing them mentally, basically.
Yeah.
And sometimes not even mentally. Sometimes, you know, doxing them and calling their places of employment and calling their families and outing them to their, like, conservative homophobic parents and stuff like that. So all of this is okay because they ship the wrong thing. They ship something pedophilic or whatever. And that is all the pretext that is necessary for destroying their lives.
So that's the whole Ruby thing that happened. Again, not the first time somebody's faked a suicide. It's the internet. You never know
been
if
driven
things
to
are true.
suicide and failed, like the Steven Universe fan artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's talk about this other instance of suicide in fandom that just recently happened over in the Dream SMP fandom. I don't know if you're supposed to say SMP or if it's supposed to be like simp. The Dream SMP fandom is essentially, it's a fandom around just a group of YouTubers. Dream being one of the main characters, then you have a whole list of other young boys that are just Let's Players. They're Let's Players, and they play Minecraft.
So they're not characters, or do they, like, have characters in their game that they play as?
They are the character.
Okay.
Does that
Alright.
make sense? Like, what they're putting out is the character they want you to perceive.
In the Minecraft game.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
So they're kind of turning Minecraft into, like, an RPG?
Yeah, so the SMP stands for Survival Multiplayer. From what I understand, it's a world that Dream created, and if you die in this Minecraft world,
You die in real
you're
life?
supposed to stay dead and not interact or play anymore outside of being a ghost, I think, maybe?
Okay.
Sure.
It's like a survival...
Kind of. I kind of get that. It's kind of like a D&D game.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Where you're just playing it in Minecraft, and when your character dies, you're supposed to be dead for realsies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't watch it. It's not my generation of YouTube.
Yeah.
Fair
No
enough.
shit.
But so, the sticky part with this fandom is they're real boys.
Mm-hmm.
So,
At least partly.
any fiction written about them is technically RPF, real person fiction.
Okay, but is it? Because they're characters.
And they haven't shown their faces.
Isn't that kind of like saying that, like, people who write fan fiction about, like, the Adventure Zone or Critical Role or something are writing RPF?
I've seen that argument be made. I don't agree with it. But,
Okay.
just like I don't agree that this is RPF. I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think if you're writing a story about a person's persona, a la Sandersides, I don't think that's RPF.
Got
No,
it. Yeah,
I don't
okay.
either. Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so I would have to see it for myself and then sort of draw my own conclusions about how much this is a performance and how much this is, like, just buddies hanging out playing Minecraft. But, yeah, I would... Anyway,
I mean,
continue.
from what you just explained to me, no, this isn't RPF.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it is. I know that there's a lot of drama, but I almost, and this sounds bad out of context, I almost don't consider any YouTuber a, quote, real person. Not that they're not real people, but you put forth the persona
Right.
It's a
that you want other
performance.
people to see.
It's
Yeah.
a performance
Exactly.
in some way. Like, that's the whole point, at least from what I understand, the whole, like, career model around YouTube is, like, a parasocial performance wherein you kind of mimic being friends with someone you don't know for
Yes.
money.
Well, it's much like how I feel about RPF with celebrities. Like, I don't know these people. I don't go into their house. I don't know anything about their like actual
No,
personal lives.
All we know is the parasocial
Yeah.
material about them.
I just know what they put forth in interviews, and I build a
Performances, yeah.
I build a character based on that.
Well, and we've talked about RPF a little bit when it comes to Markiplier. Like, don't show it to the creators.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
That's all it takes.
And even then, if you are a creator of some kind on the internet, expect it.
Yep.
You're a public figure at that point, and especially someone like Markiplier who has an audience of millions, and you just have to be aware of it, and you have to measure whether or not that is a risk you are willing to assume.
Mm-hmm. And I am.
Well, so to get back on a somber note, I guess, an incident happened semi-recently in the Dream SMP fandom universe.
Okay.
The extended universe? Okay.
There was a fan who wrote fan fiction called Dream's Homemade Catboy.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was distasteful and upsetting to enough young people that it started gaining some traction. This is a fic that I think a lot of people would have just went, gross, and move on with their day.
This is, like, this fandom, I assume, is very young. Like, 13-year-olds.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Any fans I've seen seem to be in that very young range.
Yeah.
Young teens. So, yeah, this writer wrote this fic, and somebody started sharing it, and the way that antis do, it starts getting spread really fast.
Mm-hmm. And with no tags, of course.
Yeah. The fic also starts getting, apparently, just a shit ton of really angry, aggressive, ugly comments.
Yes.
That's gross.
And
just targeted harassment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people just went to go and, rubberneck.
Point and go, ew! Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like My Immortal. Everybody did that with My Immortal, and then, like, what, she's, like, published now?
Well, yeah, My Immortal was fake from the beginning, though. This seems to be someone's, like,
True.
genuine angst
Well,
put down on the page.
Yeah. So, from what I understand, from what sources say, it was genuine. The person was in a bad headspace, and they needed vent it out. And so they wrote this little fic, and they put it up on AO3, and then it blew up. And so they deleted it.
Mm-hmm. Are we going to at all address the content of the fic?
We will, yes.
Okay.
So this fic, Dream's Homemade Catboy, I don't even know how to sum it up. Everybody screams it's every single problematic thing under the sun, and
it's not.
It's not. I did the thing. I went and found somebody who had reposted the fic. We all read it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's not all the things that people are claiming it to be. It is a
fic. Doesn't even shock me.
No.
Sorry.
And I understand there will be potentially some people who are aware of the situation who don't appreciate us discussing what happens in the fic, but for the context of the show, I'm sorry, you could skip ahead.
It's necessary.
Yeah, it is a fic in which Dream kills one of his friends and his other friend's cat. And there's this, like, body horror aspect of him, like, wrapping his friend's body up in his other friend's dead corpse and...
Yeah, and turning him into a Frankenstein Catboy.
Yeah.
It's like
in an island
Rob
of
Stark after they put the wolf head on him, except he comes back to life.
Like it's like the island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Like, we are splicing living animals together and getting freaky results.
Oh, I loved that.
For those unaware, it's a 100-year-old sci-fi book by H.G. Wells, better known for writing War of the Worlds.
Yes. I love the island of Dr. Moreau, though. That was a good one.
It is, yeah. Not enough people talk about that one, but...
Probably because...
It was also a movie.
There was a terrible movie in the 90s starring Val Kilmer and... Oh, shit. Some big-time actor who was, like, down on his luck. Hang on. Marlon Brando!
Yeah!
Marlon
Brando in one of his last roles, and it's a shit show. And this fic...
I loved it too, though.
...is also nowhere near the caliber of Island of Dr. Moreau.
No.
Let's be clear. The fic is bad, it's poorly written, it's clearly just, like, a teenage kid is having some dark thoughts because they're a teenager, and it's all you have when you're a teenager. And
it sucks.
Yeah, you don't have the skills yet to navigate these horrible emotions and the like, you know, banal cruelty and unfairness in the world, and you sort of, it's your first encounters maybe with like thoughts you have that are really transgressive and things you're afraid to share, and you gotta put it somewhere, man, or you'll explode. So a lot of people put it into art, whether it's drawing like cringy emo things in their sketchbook, or, you know, wearing a lot of eyeliner, or learning to play the guitar badly. Like, every teenager goes through this. I don't trust anyone who says they don't.
I would even say that, like, for the age of the kid who wrote this, it's not, like, horrid.
He was 15, to be clear.
He was 15.
And, like, and it's fine. Like, it's not...
It's not graphic.
No,
it's not graphic. It's not, like, sadistic or, like, emphasizing on any character's particular, like, pain or mutilation.
It's definitely baby's first gore. and that's fine. Like, honestly, I support that shit, because being a teenager is hard and lonely and angry and sad, and you
just whatever you gotta do, man.
You gotta get it out, man. And, like, you're not hurting any real cats. Good for you.
Yeah, that's way better, honey.
If you're writing about hurting cats, that's fine. It's only a problem if you start hurting real living creatures.
And again, the contents of the fic, like, if you just recite via bullet point what happens, it's kind of, like, shocking and exploitative, but there's no, like, lingering descriptions of, like, gore or suffering or whatever. It's very short. It's probably, like, 1,000 words, 1,500 words.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the movie Hostel, where it's, like, it exists solely for shock value.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
The kid just wants to be provocative, and...
They even say that in their Instagram post. Like, they were like, I just wanted to see how far I could go.
I just wanted to see how provocative I could be.
And there's something really important about that. People are gonna say this was a bad thing. It's not. Every kid in the world has this moment. Every single one of you. And if you didn't,
that's worrisome.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You do not yet know where your limits lie.
Yeah, that's actually the scary thing.
Discovering these limits when you're an adolescent is very good, actually, because you learn about the borders of acceptable human behavior and how to operate within them, despite whatever kind of roiling, seething, emotional anger you have inside of you. And knowing that you can be angry or be hateful or violent and find an outlet for it and manage those emotions is a positive learning experience, because when you see, oh wow, I can feel just like an absolute war criminal and just want to punch and kick and wreck shit and set fire to, you know, my house or whatever. And when you discover that you can manage those emotions and they pass and you can survive them, that's a huge learning experience for a young teenager, because you see, oh wow, these emotions don't control me, I can channel them, I can master them, and then you start to learn about, like, the appreciable edges of human behavior. When you don't get something you want, your immediate reaction isn't to punch someone in the face, you know, or stab them, or something else. Like, when you see kids, or when you see adults, actually, who that is their reaction to disappointment or to anger or whatever, is, you know, violence. Those people were not properly socialized.
Yes.
And so yes, this, when you're 13 and a young teenager and discovering the limits of human behavior, because we're all capable of doing dark, evil shit, and most of us choose not to for some pretty good reasons.
Yep.
And it's good and necessary even to discover your limits and why you choose not to do evil behavior.
Yeah, it's actually arguably one of the first big steps from childhood to adulthood, is learning how to manage your emotions in a way that doesn't hurt anyone, including yourself.
And, like, your big emotions.
Yes, the big scary ones, like...
I want to kill you.
I want to die, or I want to kill you. It's just how it works.
Well, yeah, because, like, when you're a kid, and I mean, like, 6, 7, 8, 9, your biggest disappointment is, like, I didn't get to stay up past my bedtime, I wanted a snack and I didn't get a snack. You're
Typically.
You will typically, yes, unless you're, like, horribly abused, and if you are already on a different trauma path than the rest of us, and I apologize for that.
You seem so much older for your age.
But if you are an average child in, you know, a Western/developed nation, your biggest disappointments as a child are like, I wanted a snack and I didn't get it. Mm-hmm. And you hit puberty, and you start becoming aware of some of the grander, more historical problems in our society.
War.
Yeah.
Racism.
Injustice. Just, you know, systematic oppression. And your biggest disappointments start to be like, I want to kill you.
Yeah.
Like, that starts to be an impulse that happens when you are upset. It's no longer, I cried and threw a tantrum because my older brother took my video game.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to kill my older brother because he took my video game.
Yeah.
And learning to rein in that impulsive part of the adult human mind is where, like, 60% of the angst of being a teenager comes from, if I'm just gonna put a rough number on it.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
It's difficult, and I'm not trying to downplay it at all. Like, yeah, some kids, you know, start doing drugs, some cut themselves, some
do both.
Some write weird stories about killing all their friends.
Some do an amalgamation of all of these things.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a lot of ways to handle your emotions aren't healthy, but art is a very, very healthy way to learn how to rein in your emotions.
Even your ugliest, shittiest ones.
That is, in fact, one of the healthiest ways, which is why there's so much art. Because people are all in pain.
And yeah, so much art about bad shit.
Yes.
Like, that's why there's so much art about pain, and not so much art about the pleasant walk I had in the park this afternoon.
Exactly. There's a lot of dark shit out there, because that's how we cope with it. We turn it into a fictional thing where we can control the whole outcome, and ta-da.
And if we decide we don't like it, we can just put it away.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's a song, or a movie, or a book, or sketching in your sketchbook.
Definitely had to do that a few times. Mm-hmm. Just been like, this is actually too sad for me to write. And just kind of not do it.
One of my favorite songs in the world I cannot listen to regularly. Yep. Because it will ruin my fucking week.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do it. It hits me too hard. And I love it, and, like, when I bust it out, it's kind of like a weird little masochistic ritual, because I think it's an amazing song, and I want to listen to it all the time. I just fucking can't, though, man.
Yeah.
So, yes, to get back on track a little bit, this fic is, like, even if it were extremely graphic and detailed, it would not offend me. But it's not, even. It's just someone prodding at maybe being transgressive, like, and it is a little discomforting that it is about some real YouTubers, but it's really not. It's about their personas, their characters that they adopt in this little role-playing world on Minecraft they have.
Yeah.
Like, there's a particular line where they talk about someone's decapitated head.
Yeah.
But this character has the dumbest name in the world, so I don't even find it. Yeah. I don't even find it shocking.
Really undercuts the drama.
It's like talking about a Care Bear. It's like the Care Bear's disembodied head.
It's not shocking to me.
No.
I have definitely read many things that were more shocking and more graphic, but I can understand where some younger people reading it might have, you know, baby's first gore had that, like, complete shock.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, completely, because trust me, I had that experience, too, as a young person in fandom.
Hard, same.
And, like, I don't know where it was originally posted. I don't know if it had appropriate amounts of warnings attached to it originally. So I could definitely see people being upset if this was like
An untagged,
unrated.
It was on AO3 and it was tagged appropriately from what I understand. But
Okay.
when it was taken down, it was reposted by trolls who, under the same fandom, reposted it with the description, Dream gets a new cat, and no appropriate tagging.
Wow.
Got it. Again,
that's really bad.
The antis are worse than the problem they claim to be fighting. Got it.
Yeah, that's not okay, guys.
Moving forward a little bit, this person took their fic down. They still were receiving harassment, and they felt that they had no option except to take their own life. And this one seems a little bit more concrete. There at least seems to be one person who claims to have known this person in real life. Again, it's the internet, so there is no fact-checking. Like, I don't have this person's mom's phone number.
Yeah.
So it's sad.
That's horrible. Yeah. If it's true, even if it's not true, that's despicably sad, and I can't imagine what that family's going through. I can't imagine what their friends are going through. I guess I can't imagine what the aunties are going through.
The aunties, well, some of them are reveling. They really are, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Some of them are pulling the same shit that we just saw with the Ruby fandom with, well, how was I to know there would be consequences to my actions?
Yeah, of course.
There's a lot of, well, that's not my fault. And moving on with their day, because they can. They have the privilege of being like, well, it's not my fault, and I don't have to think about that.
I know. They will, though. I mean, trust me, it will haunt you into your adulthood, and I'm glad that it will.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, that's Domery.
If it doesn't, we found the real sociopath.
Yeah.
What seems to be a big response, though, is everybody in the fandom freaking out and saying, well, this is the first fandom-related suicide. And it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not even close. We're in at least the double digits.
We're in the year 2021, baby!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hardly the first. And again, I think the age range of that fandom is a big contributor to those big claims, because when you're that young, everything is the first. You're the one that discovered the wheel.
Nothing that happened before my recollection is true.
Yeah, we just saw a tweet earlier today that was like, if fiction doesn't affect reality, then how come Silence of the Lambs
caused transphobia to happen?
And it's like, that's not even the first movie to have the to have that trope.
Villain, yes. And I mean, fuck, Silence of the Lambs goes out of its way to distance its villain from being transgender.
Yeah.
But, I'm not saying that excuses all of Silence of the Lambs' portrayal of, like, at least a gender questioning person.
Yeah.
But they do on screen state that Buffalo Bill is not a transgender woman.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of like I learned from movies and TV, so therefore so did everyone else.
Yeah. Like, and here's a fun fact. I did learn from movies and TV. But, I know that that's my problem.
Or like how last year or the year before, when the Watchmen miniseries happened, that was the first time many Americans learned about the Tulsa race massacre.
Yep.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Because it is a plot point. The event is a plot point in the series. And as a non-American, I was stunned because I knew about that.
Yeah.
Like, I really enjoy history. I'm saying I have maybe an above average interest in history, but goddamn, like, if it's not in a movie, Americans really don't know a fucking thing about it.
Well, yeah, well, and also, America loves to hide its racism, like, all the time.
I don't know. I found it not disingenuous how much people were freaking out that this was the big air quotes first fandom suicide. I've mostly found it sad. The whole situation's sad, but on a separate level, I am sad that these kids are very narrow-minded about
very
this.
Stupid.
If it's not happening in their fandom or in their world, it hasn't happened.
Yep.
Yeah, their world is their fandom.
They're stupid. You can say it. Teenagers are stupid, and they always have been.
Yeah, we're not trying to say that we weren't
We
stupid.
were not stupid as teenagers. We were.
Oh, I was a stupid teen.
I mean,
I was really dumb.
I feel at least like I was a little more aware that I was stupid as a teenager, but you know, that could be hindsight. I feel like there were definitely times as a teenager when I would look at my fellow teenagers and be like, "You're a fucking moron."
Yeah, definitely.
But yes, teenagers are stupid, and it's fine, and we shouldn't look to them to be the authorities on anything, for sure. Especially, you know, decent social interaction and, like, arbiters of coolness. Like, I'm sorry, TikTok's lame, and in 10 years you're gonna be super humiliated about all those weird lip-syncing videos you posted forever.
Yeah, you're gonna be really embarrassed about a lot of things.
Someone's gonna show up on a date, you know, if we still date in 10 years and it's not all done through an app, and, like, have your weird TikTok dance sea shanty memes or whatever they're doing on TikTok now.
I forgot about the sea shanty meme.
I mean, okay, this is my sea shanty tangent right here. I've been into sea shanties for way longer than y'all, again, because I love my history. Specifically, I can even tie this into fandom. So, I'm a fan of the Assassin's Creed games, even though they are, like, on the face ridiculous. Like, they are an absolute clown show. And one, in particular, takes place, I think it's in the 1690s, the golden age of piracy, and you're a little pirate, and you have a little pirate ship, and when you're sailing your little pirate ship around the map, your crew will sing authentic, real sea shanties from the 18th century.
It's really cute.
And it makes, like, the exploration of the map so much fun, because I guess a lot of people were gonna be like, oh, it's boring, you just have to sail pirate ship around an empty ocean, it's lame, man, I want to kill people. But your little crew sings jaunty little shanties as you go around the map, and they're so catchy, and they'll stay in your head for months and months. And then, so to my knowledge, that was the only game for, like, almost 10 years that had this ship mechanic, because Assassin's Creed does this thing where they try and work a new gimmick into every game, and it doesn't always work out great, but the ship thing was great. The ship thing was an A+. And then they did one set during the Pelagiatic Wars, I think, in ancient Greece, and you have a little ship again, because you're going around the Greek archipelago, and your crew will sing Greek sea shanties in Greek.
It's pretty great.
Ancient Greek sea shanties. Like, that's the amount of research that the history department has put into this stupid game where, like, Aristotle was a ninja and shit like that. Like, these games are so historically accurate right up until they're not.
Yeah.
And then they really aren't.
Yeah.
So anyway, me and my pirate phase have been into sea shanties way longer than TikTok. Thank you.
Yep.
These songs are 300-400 years old in some cases.
Also, I should say, I never played Assassin's Creed, but I'm a lesbian, so my pirate phase was also way before TikTok. Gays always have a pirate phase. If you had a pirate phase, you're probably gay.
Well, and Kelty is an autistic gay.
Yeah.
So she had an autistic boat phase, too.
Yeah.
A lot of autistics are into trains.
I
Not my
had
girl.
boats.
Not my girl here. My girl was into boats.
I was so into boats, you guys.
She can name all the parts of the boat and the different types. And, yeah.
We could make an episode about boats. Do you want to have an episode about boats?
No.
Aw.
Find me a fandom about boats
Titanic.
that's having a drama.
Oh, okay.
That's having drama. No drama in the...
No, the Titanic fandom was pretty chill.
Not the Thomas the Tank Engine fandom, apparently.
We were all just into boats.
I challenge listeners and Kelty. Find me a fandom that revolves around boats that's having a drama, and we'll do a boat episode. We'll do a boat episode on a boat.
Don't tease me.
I'm not teasing. Find me boat drama.
Literally every time I'm on a boat, I start crying with joy. Don't tease me about being on boats.
There's a little bit of boat drama. You want to hear my little bit of boat drama?
Boat drama?
Yeah.
What's your boat drama?
So, we all three of us here know about Game of Thrones / Song for Ice and Fire.
Yes.
Okay, so, there is a culture in that world called the Ironborn, and they are
My babies.
heavily based on Vikings, like the Nordic people of Europe. And they make use of their sailing, their naval prowess to like, you know, trade and go to war and blah blah blah. Anyway, so they're based on these people that, like, their naval technology is from, like, the 9th century. Like, it's not like pirate ships, like we think about pirate ships, like, with 4 masts and 100 sails, and they're huge, and you could, like, store elephants on them or something.
Mm-hmm.
They have tiny boats that are mostly built for speed, and they don't really ever go too far from the shore. They kind of like hug the coast as they go around. So anyway, there's a lot of art that shows the boats being like piratey boats, like huge galleons and stuff, but people are arguing that it shouldn't look like that. It should look more like a Viking longship, and they should have more oars and stuff. And so that's the drama. The drama is that they're painting the wrong kind of boat, because in the popular consciousness, there's only one kind of ship, and it's a pirate ship.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yep.
It's not great, and we couldn't do a whole episode about that, but I did have something.
Well, there you go. A little bit of boat drama to close us out. I think we talked about the thing. I do want to thank Monocopsis, Librastri, and Miku Diary 2 on Twitter for helping me collect receipts for this week's episode. If y'all have anything you want us to cover, please feel free to reach out. I'm also going to include a link to the National Suicide Awareness website. Little known fact, you can chat with them if you are uncomfortable talking on the phone. I've used their service. I recommend it. If you're ever feeling the need to self-harm or feeling isolated, alone, harassed, there are services available out there. Please speak with somebody. If they don't support you, find somebody that does. And I swear, this too shall pass.
And there are international services, because I know our audience is not strictly American.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I will actually, on Twitter, include a chain of at least the ones I can find.
Yeah.
I want everybody to have access to that information. I think it's important. And until next time, thank y'all for joining us this week. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Blissfully Show. Link to our YouTube is there. And like, comment, subscribe. Feels super disingenuous to end the episode that way,
Yeah.
but
Do the YouTube stuff. Yeah.
until next time,
Be nice to someone. That's our call to
Yeah.
action.
be
And
nice.
The world is better with you in
Yeah.
it.
Be nice to someone, even if you don't have to.
And even if that someone is just you, don't let the haters get you down.
What is that line in Handmaid's Tale? It's,
Don't let the bastards
don't
get
let the bastards grind you down.
you. Yeah.
But it's in bad Latin. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm ruining the poignancy of the moment. It's my superpower.
Until next time, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Be safe.
Culturally, we want, like, the validation of the youths, because we're slowly realizing that we're gonna die one day or something, and